Hello and welcome back. Welcome to the Football Terrace. Thank you very much for tuning in. We're here to talk Sarr. That's Watford's attacking midfielder Sarr, and he's linked to Liverpool Football Club, according to one of the leading Liverpool correspondents and journalists, David Lynch. A friend of the show, has been on many times. Liverpool are exceedingly interested in him. They're leading the race. The only stumbling block around this being done, and maybe being done quickly, is the asking price. £40 million plus is what's quoted as the asking price from Watford. Of course, they got a hell of a lot of money for Charlison just a year or two ago. They'll be looking for something very similar when it comes to Sarr. But what a young talent he is! What a very good and young talent and prospect this boy is. I want your thoughts and opinions on that. If I can speak properly, I want your thoughts and opinions on that, both from the Liverpool fan perspective and, of course, the rivals. That's what we're here for at the Football Terrace, the football community. We talk all things that are going on. Do us a big favour as well. What's really important to us is you download the new app that we're using called Flick. It is the best footballing community around. You can share transfer stories, run polls, competitions, quizzes, games. Absolutely fantastic. Hundreds of you have already signed up. The link for that is inside the description below. Comment here says you can give any player to Klopp and he will transform them. That's not necessarily true, is it? Otherwise, he wouldn't have got rid of Benteke. Yeah, or Shaqiri would have played more. Jurgen Klopp's an amazing coach, a brilliant manager. He gets the best out of so many players, but all managers fail with some people. Otherwise, you would never need to sign anybody new. Do you know what I mean? Why are people even talking about Havertz coming to United? Well, we're going to delve into that one next. The newspapers are reporting that United are trying to hijack this deal. Absolutely not. Anybody that comments on this video going, Terry thinks he's going to... No. Watch the content before you. If you comment on content, a film, a song, anything before you've watched it, you are the definition of a prat. So from my point of view, it's as simple as this. There's no way United are going in for Kai Havertz. There's no want of a hijack. This could be twofold. This could be Leverkusen releasing this information to tempt Chelsea into bidding more money and quickly. It could be United releasing it to make Dortmund panic or worry. It could be a combination of the two. The sheer fundamental fact of the matter, as far as I'm concerned, is United are not looking at Havertz. Havertz has already agreed personal terms with Chelsea. He has no real desire to join Manchester United. I can take that. I've got the thickness of skin to not be offended by the fact that a football player would prefer another club over mine. This has happened since the dawn of time. And it will happen again and again and again and again. All teams get rejected. Look at Timo Werner picking Chelsea over Liverpool. Nobody would have guessed that, but it did. It simply did. So I want your thoughts and your feelings on that. And also, a lot of people have been asking me all day, Sancho update. There isn't one. The players got a full agreement with Manchester United to join. Man United and Dortmund are going to continue talks. There's been no real news on that for a couple of... Yesterday, there was the updates from Fabrizio where they gave their opinions. But aside from that, nothing has changed. Nothing has actually changed since before Michael Zorc's comments. Like, nothing has changed. The clubs are still in conversations. They're using an intermediary to do their talks. There's lots of umming and ahhings about the fees. But in terms of an overall Jadon Sancho update, there really isn't anything significant to report on in relation to that. A comment here from Keaton Rana says, Terry, how can Palace want so much for Zaha in comparison to the fee for Sarr? In recent seasons, we can even say Zaha has been way better than Zaha. Well, Sarr for me isn't the finished article yet. They're saying they want a minimum of 40 million pounds. I think that's reasonable in this climate. Zaha's never been worth 50, 60, 70 million, whatever. That's why Palace have never been able to sell him. That's why he's had to stay. Palace have priced him out of a move. Zaha is a 30, 40 million pound player tops. It's as simple and it's as straightforward as that for me. There's no kind of there's nothing else even to say on the matter. That is quite simply it. That is quite simply it as far as I'm concerned. A comment from Peter Butler here, long-time viewer, friend of the channel, Liverpool fan, says, hi, Terry, thoughts on Thiago? German press saying agreed personal terms with Liverpool. UK press saying nothing. Because Liverpool only give a certain amount of press information. We did a video on this yesterday. I think it's very close to being done. I think it's very close to being agreed. The Genie Wijnaldum situation, I think, is key because he isn't signing a new deal. David Lynch, the same individual that gave us the information today in relation to Sarr, is that if Genie Wijnaldum doesn't sign a new deal this summer, or the talks are not happening, which has been reported widely that it's not, then there's a huge possibility of Thiago. If Genie comes out tomorrow and has signed a new deal, Thiago isn't happening. That's what the in-the-know, credible Liverpool correspondents have been telling us, and they're the ones whose opinions I'm taking as read as far as now is concerned. Zaha for 80 million is a joke and robbery. Of course it is. I mean, it's an absolute, it's a monstrosity to even for anyone to consider paying that much for him. He's nowhere near the standard. If you even look at Sarr as an example, Sarr is a 22-year-old in Watford who are not as good a team as Crystal Palace. What did he get this season across all competitions? 6 goals and 4 assists in 32 games. Like, as an output level, let's forget the aestheticness of it for a moment. Just on outputs, a 10 goal contribution this season. Let's look at Wilfried Zaha as a 20. I'm sure how old he is. What is he? 27. So he's in his peak. 5 goals, 3 assists in 10. He played 10 more games, right, this season. And he played 38 games because I counted some. Actually, that's even less than. Sorry, he played 37 games, 38 if you include 1 substitute appearance, and scored 4 goals and got 7 assists. So it's literally at club level. It's 7 goal outputs versus goal contributions versus 10 of a 22-year-old versus a 27-year-old. Sarr for me is the more. Look, I don't care about the talent. I don't care about the ability. I'm talking about the outputs. At 22, he's delivering in the Premier League for a bang average Watford team. And how many managers did he have this year? About 8. Like, you've got to give Sarr credit. And by the way, Sarr's only worth 40 to 50 million tops in the market. Zaha, 30, 40 million pound if he's a day. It's as simple as that. A super chat here from McNulty says, are United announcing the Sancho deal after the Europa League? I wouldn't go that. I wouldn't deep it that much, bruv. I don't think it's that deep. I don't think it's as simple as that. I think they could announce it before or after. It's when the deal gets finalized. Terry, is the United Havertz hijack realistic? No. Absolute tosh. It's absolute tosh. There is no hijack. United are not even looking at Kai Havertz. And these links as well, another area what they'll do is it will just be, he rejected United. No, he didn't. United have not made any approach to sign Kai Havertz. It's not happened at all. Not one single little bit. Not one. Not one. Thierry Henry 14 here says Sarr would be a good future replacement for Salah as well, Terry, to be honest. Yeah, listen, I think if Liverpool signs Sarr, it's a good bit of business. 45 million pound for him, 30 odd million for Thiago. You're moving into the 70, 80 million mark then. There's the 11 million they've spent on Chimikas. So I forgot his name for a second then. Liverpool, if they land Sarr and they land Thiago, you're looking at a expenditure of £900 million. That's a lot of money for a club that said they couldn't warrant spending any money. I said all along, Liverpool will spend. I don't buy into this notion that they're not going to do it. It's as simple as that for me. Terry, why do Man United want Kai? They don't. Terry, do you think Pepe is worth 72 million based on your opinion of Zaha? Let's see. He's given another year in the Premier League. He was certainly worth that money based on his performances on the continent. And you take a risk when spending that much money. But let's give him another year or so to deliver, to show us what he's about. Because if he can replicate his outputs and performances from Ligue 1, then yes. If we have another 2 years of him performing at this level of inconsistency, this level of outputs, then we can certainly say man's been a flop. There is absolutely no doubt about that whatsoever. Sean C here says, Terry, do you think Sarr makes more sense than Werner because of the lower wages? No, it was nothing about lower wage. You offered Werner wages, salaries that would be higher than of Sarr's. You just couldn't compete with Chelsea on that, or you decided not to compete with Chelsea on it. You tried to get Werner. The simple fundamental facts of the matter are Chelsea's overall package was better, from game time to salary to contract length, squad status. You wanted Timo Werner. This have it right. That doesn't mean that you're going to fail and Chelsea are going to surpass you because of that. But the facts are that Liverpool's two main targets so far this summer haven't come off. But it doesn't matter if the alternatives deliver. And that's why fans have got to stop being emotional and wait for after the fact. Wait for after the fact. By the way, smash that like button for me right now, please, ladies and gentlemen. And make sure you download Flick. All the information is in the description below. Terry, the longer this Sancho deal goes on, the less business we are likely to do. Not true at all, in my opinion. Terry, call out Rants for his Bruno hate campaign. I don't need to call Rants out. Like, me and Rants have actually spoke about it privately today. He doesn't think Bruno's as good as United fans make him out to be. I disagree. I've always said it's to Rants. I think he's a top player. Where I do agree with Rants is that Bruno isn't the sole reason that we're in the top four. I don't believe in the notion of one-man teams. The improvements in Martial, the improvements in defense, getting Pogba back on side, the galvanization of the team in the second half of the season by Oli. All these things played a major factor in Man United making the top four. To put it all on Bruno and to ignore the contributions of others is utterly ridiculous. Equally, some of the things Rance has said about him not having, he isn't as good a passer or crosser as Kevin De Bruyne. But that isn't what it's all based on. He certainly is a better goal scorer. He certainly picks up more goals. He'll score more goals, there's no doubt. Yes, he makes some poor decisions in attacking phases, but I think all players do. He is a talisman. He is someone that galvanizes people around him. He makes everybody want to work harder. And I'm very, very happy with him. I think he's going to go down as, over the next couple of years, as the best attacking midfielder in the Premier League. And that's it. And if Rance disagrees with you, then just deal with it. I mean, calling him out, what? I'd love to have a debate. I'd love to see him come on and talk about it with people, but it isn't about calling people out. On Rance's points today, half of what he said I completely agree with. The other half, I don't, but he's entitled to it. If he doesn't think Bruno's as good as certain people say that he is, so what? Hi, Terry. Is there any news on Grealish or Gabriel? Nothing as far as I'm concerned. Nothing at all as far as I'm concerned on that. Comment here from No Limit says Liverpool have a good squad, but Chelsea always win more than Liverpool because Roman will always invest. Best attacking midfielder, oh please. Yeah, and it's an easy way to measure it. Over the next 18 months to 2 years, Bruno Fernandes will have more goal contributions for Man United than KDB will have for City. Who you prefer technically or aesthetically is irrelevant. It's about the outputs combined. You mix the two things together, Bruno will be the more effective person. By the way, KDB is going to be amazing. KDB is going to be out of this world. Hard to choose. It's like splitting a hair between them. But for me, Bruno will come out on top. And that's the point here. This isn't saying KDB's bad. It's simply stating that, in my view, if you have two attacking midfielders, abilities, similars, they strip each other out on certain attributes, but they're very, very close. If one's getting 40 goal contributions a season and the other one's getting 25, I'm picking the guy with 40. If one's getting 30 and one's getting 40, I'm picking the guy with 40. If one's getting 35, the other guy's getting 40, I'm picking the guy with 40 when they're doing it on regs. It's as simple as that for me. Especially as we're going to have so much creativity coming from our wide positions from Paul Pogba. I want a midfielder that scores goals. There's nothing wrong with that. KDB is amazing. KDB is brilliant. KDB is one of the best football players the Premier League has ever had. I have to say, it's what you got to remember. When it comes to picking between Mo Salah and Eden Hazard, what's my logic? I pick the guy with a better goals to game ratio or goal contributions to game ratio. That's the person I pick. So if that's my logic, then you shouldn't be surprised that I would pick the person who I think is going to have the most goal contributions when I think they're similar to each other in terms of quality. Someone here says, what about penalties? Yeah, penalties are important. Ask Raul Jimenez and Wolves if penalties are important or not, please. And then we go. Kills here says, the only reason Man United made the top 4 was Bruno. It wasn't. It's such an oversimplification of what Man United did. It's ridiculous to even... I think it's ridiculous to even suggest that it's all because of Bruno. Was Bruno a catalyst? Yes, but not the only one. I love it when people say Bruno's nowhere near KDB. Then why is he scoring and assisting so many goals? Why is there only a handful of midfielders in the world that are at that level? He's just randomly stat packing, is he? No, he's scoring brilliant goals, penalties, decisive goals, creating opportunities. And he will, over the next 2 seasons, outstrip KDB in goal contributions. You're just going to have to deal with it. Just going to have to deal with it. Someone here says, Terry is basically handing himself an L. KDB will always be better than Bruno. Naturally, he's a better player, playing with better players, under a better manager, with better players. Facts. Well, none of those things make him better. You might always have better ability. But if Bruno outstrips him on outputs, imagine this. Imagine you've got more ability. Let's just say you're all right. The KDB is miles in front of Bruno for ability. But Bruno ends up finishing the next following 2 seasons with 5, 10 to 15, maybe even 20 more goal contributions across scoring and assisting than KDB. That's an embarrassment for KDB. You know, it's like I say about Eden Hazard. People put him on the same levels as the Ronaldos and Messis, but his outputs are a fraction of. Outputs matter. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that for me. That's how I assess football players. I look at the ability. Yes, I take into consideration. You know, it's like the dude that says that, what's that guy's name? Isaac is better than Haaland because his abilities, but he's better technique. Cool. But who are you picking? The guy that scores the goals or the guy that sits on the bench for Real Sociedad? The ability means something. It's 10, 15, 20% of the overall assessment of a football player. Bruno has got so many things in his favor. He'll prove everybody wrong or me right, and we'll go from there. It's as simple as that. There we go. Terry, if Goldbridge said what Rance said about Bruno, you'd call him out and call him deluded, but you won't because it's Rance and you were scared of him. Look, Rance and me are mates. Like, I have his mobile phone numbers. We send each other voice notes. We chat. We talk. Like I've just said, I think his opinion on the quality and ability of Bruno is wrong. Completely wrong. But I agree with him on the sense that we're not a one-man team. Go back through all my streams. Find out when I've ever said somebody's a one-man team. Don't do it. I don't do it. And by the way, everyone knows I'm right as well about the KDB Bruno thing. The ability argument, the ability merchants are generally failures in life. It's the people that generally think like that are failures in life. Got the ability, man. I just don't get the chance. I got the ability. Go create the chance. Do you know what I mean? What you're actually saying is you've got the ability, but you ain't got the professionalism or the perseverance or the work rate to go out there and get it. But you know you've got the ability for it. So you go through life assessing everybody on ability rather than outputs. And by the way, KDB's amazing. World class. But Bruno will outstrip him. When you've got 2 players similar in quality, similar in ability, similar in status, you then have to go by outputs. Otherwise, it becomes I prefer this, you prefer that. And I always give the example of this. Someone could prefer Drake. Somebody could prefer Jay-Z. You could have 10 million reasons as to who's best, who isn't. For me, what it comes down to is over a certain body of time, who sells the most records, who gets the most number ones, who wins the most awards. Collectively, those things tell you who the best is. You know, I know loads of people that don't like the Beatles, don't like Elvis, don't like Michael Jackson. The fact that they're the 3 number 1 selling artists of all time tells you they're the 3 best artists of all time. That's it. Simple. You know, some people, I don't like Adele's music. She wins bare Grammys. She's brilliant. Your opinion of not liking her doesn't mean she's bad because she's outstanding. If you released an album and 24 people bought it, maybe your opinion would make sense. Outputs matter. Anybody that doesn't like outputs is on course to being a failure, is a failure, or doesn't want to work hard to achieve things, as a general rule, in my opinion. It's like this. Let me give you another example. End the stream on this. It's like me thinking my YouTube channel is better than the United Stand or AFTV or True Geordies. Nonsense. I know I'm not as good as those people, by the sheer fundamental facts that I get a fraction of the views. Half of you watching could all think I'm better, and I respect that, and I love it, and I appreciate it. But I'm not. If I was, I would be getting more views. I would have more subscribers. I'd get more traction. I don't. I know my place. By the way, very proud, very happy, very secure, very content with where I am. But the numbers don't lie. The numbers don't lie. By the way, if you want to call up and have your say on this, I'm actually ending the stream in 2 or 3 minutes. Go for it. How many points has KDB won? No idea. Haven't looked. I love these comments. I'm just sitting here reading them. I love it. Look at the comments. See, all the people calling me deluded, you're this, you're that. It's because you know I'm right and you've got no answer. So what do you do when you're in a debate with somebody and you can't answer what they're saying? Weak people turn to offense. Weak people turn to insults. But anyway, listen, download Flick for us. We'll continue that conversation over there right now. Download it. Follow the Football Terrace. Until then, take care. Goodbye. God bless.